My beloved child. Before you question why this message found you, understand this first truth. Nothing about what is happening around you is accidental. While you move through your days thinking no one noticed the small details, someone has been quietly observing the way you present yourself to the world. Not just the clothes you choose, but the confidence you carry inside them. The pauses before you step out. The moments you adjust yourself without realizing it. Every fabric, every color, every decision spoke a language louder than words. And what is unbelievable is not that they noticed. It is what those observations awakened inside them. Because the way you dress has been sending a message you never consciously intended to send, and that message has begun to disturb, attract, and awaken something powerful in another soul. They did not expect it. You did not plan it. Yet now it cannot be unseen, and once something is seen at this level, it changes the direction of thought forever. Listen closely now. There is a reason their attention did not fade after the first glance. Most people look without seeing. But this one watched. They noticed patterns. They noticed how your choices shifted with your mood. They noticed how sometimes you dressed boldly, and other times quietly, as if protecting something sacred inside you. What shocked them was not style. It was intention. They began realizing that your appearance carried emotional signals, silent statements about self-worth, healing, restraint, and strength. It made them question their own identity. It made them uncomfortable in a way growth always begins. They started asking themselves why someone who never speaks loudly could command attention without asking for it. Why someone who never tries to impress could leave an imprint that lingered long after you were gone. This is where fascination turned into something deeper, and curiosity crossed into realization. Here is what you were never meant to hear so early. They began talking about you when you were not present. Quiet conversations. Careful words. Not admiration spoken openly, but confusion wrapped in disbelief. They kept saying the same thing in different ways. There is something about them that does not try, yet changes the energy of a room. The way they dress feels intentional, but not forced. Confident, but not demanding. Calm, yet powerful. And the shocking part is this. They realized your appearance was not about fashion at all. It was about boundaries. About knowing who you are without announcing it. That realization unsettled them. Because people who understand themselves at that level tend to change the lives of those who cross their path. And deep down, they sensed that you were not meant to pass through unnoticed. Now feel this shift. Because while you remained unaware, their thoughts began circling back to you repeatedly. Not obsession. Awareness. The kind that awakens when someone mirrors a truth you have been avoiding within yourself. They started reflecting on their own choices. Their own masks. Their own attempts to be seen. And suddenly, your presence exposed what they had been hiding from. They questioned why your silence felt louder than their words. Why your simplicity felt richer than their excess. Why your composure felt more authentic than their performance. This is when the watching turned into listening, and listening turned into understanding. They realized that your outer expression was aligned with an inner clarity they had not yet reached. Understand this carefully. What they are saying now is not about you alone. It is about the impact you unknowingly create. They are saying you are a reminder. A signal. Proof that self-respect does not need validation. Proof that confidence does not need permission. Proof that presence speaks before words ever do. And this is only the beginning. Because once someone sees you this way, they cannot return to seeing the world the same way again. What unfolds next will challenge what they believe, what they desire, and what they fear losing. And whether you realize it or not, the way you simply exist has already set something irreversible in motion. My beloved child. What happens after someone truly notices you is never silent. Even if they say nothing out loud, something inside them begins to rearrange itself. Since the moment they realized your presence carried meaning, their inner world has not been calm. They replay small moments in their mind. How you stood. How you moved. How you never overdressed to prove anything, yet never diminished yourself to blend in. They started feeling an unfamiliar pressure, as if your quiet confidence exposed how much of their own life had been lived on autopilot. They are realizing now that your way of showing up reflects self-acceptance, and that realization is heavy. Because it forces them to confront how often they seek approval instead of alignment. They are not disturbed by you. They are disturbed by what you awakened within them. Now hear this carefully. They have begun defending you in conversations you were never part of. When others spoke casually, they corrected them. When assumptions were made, they quietly shut them down. They feel protective without understanding why. This is shocking even to them. Because admiration is easy, but respect changes behavior. They respect you. Not because of what you wear, but because of what your choices reveal. They sense discipline behind your simplicity. Courage behind your restraint. Healing behind your calm. And this respect has created distance between them and people who do not see depth the way they now do. They feel alone in this realization. As if they discovered something rare and do not yet know how to name it. Something else is happening beneath the surface. They are questioning their past decisions. The people they chased. The images they tried to become. Your presence has quietly rewritten their definition of value. They now see how much noise they allowed into their life. How many performances they mistook for confidence. And without meaning to, you became a contrast that exposed truth. This is why they hesitate before approaching you. Not because they lack interest, but because they sense that once they step closer, they cannot pretend anymore. You represent clarity. And clarity demands change. They are weighing whether they are ready to grow, or whether it is safer to stay comfortable and distant. Understand the weight of this moment. You are not being watched anymore. You are being considered. Measured. Felt. They imagine conversations with you that never happened. They imagine standing beside you and wondering if they would rise or shrink. They are asking themselves if they would be enough in your presence, not in appearance, but in authenticity. This is rare. Most people compare looks. Very few compare integrity. And this is why your impact feels unbelievable to them. Because you did nothing extraordinary on the surface, yet everything shifted beneath it. You became a mirror they did not ask for, but desperately needed. And here is the truth that will shape what comes next. They are standing at a quiet crossroads. One path leads toward you, toward growth, toward honesty with themselves. The other path leads away, back to familiar distractions, back to pretending they were never affected. Either way, you remain unchanged. That is your power. You did not chase attention. You did not seek validation. You simply existed in alignment. And that alignment has already done its work. What they decide next will reveal who they truly are. And what unfolds after this moment will prove that the way you dress was never the story. You were. My beloved child. There is a moment that arrives quietly, and this is that moment. After observation turns into consideration, something deeper takes hold. They begin sensing your absence even when you are not meant to be present in their thoughts. Ordinary places start reminding them of you. Not because you were there, but because your energy redefined what presence feels like. They notice how the world feels louder without you. How people feel more performative. How interactions feel emptier. And this realization unsettles them, because it proves that what affected them was never visual alone. It was vibrational. They are now aware that your external choices reflected an inner order they have been lacking. And once someone recognizes order after living in chaos, returning to confusion feels unbearable. Pay attention to this shift. They are no longer analyzing you. They are analyzing themselves through you. They ask questions they avoided for years. Why do I feel exposed by someone who never questioned me? Why does their calm unsettle my restlessness? Why does their simplicity feel richer than my effort? These thoughts arrive uninvited, especially at night when distractions fade. This is when truth speaks loudest. They realize that your way of presenting yourself carries self-trust. Not arrogance. Not fear. Self-trust. And that is rare. It challenges them to either rise into honesty or retreat into excuses. This inner conflict is exhausting them. Because deep down, they know growth is required, not admiration. Something important must be understood now. They are beginning to fear losing you before ever having you. Not in possession, but in proximity. They sense that people like you do not remain available to environments that cannot meet them in depth. This awareness creates urgency, but also hesitation. They wonder if they should speak before the moment passes. Or if silence is safer than exposure. They rehearse words, then discard them. They imagine your response, then doubt their worthiness. This is not weakness. This is transformation in progress. And transformation is uncomfortable because it strips illusions without mercy. Now feel the weight of what you carry unknowingly. Your consistency has become a standard they cannot ignore. The way you show up the same regardless of who is watching has taught them something they were never taught. That integrity is visible. That self-respect radiates. That authenticity cannot be imitated, only embodied. They are realizing that your presence would demand alignment from them, not effort. And alignment is the hardest work there is. This is why they pause. This is why they watch from a distance. Because stepping closer would mean choosing truth over comfort, and not everyone is ready for that choice. Here is where this part closes, but the story does not. They are standing on the edge of action. Silence no longer feels neutral. Distance no longer feels safe. And awareness can no longer be undone. Whether they step forward or not, one thing is irreversible. You have changed the way they see value, presence, and self-expression. And that change will follow them everywhere. What comes next will not be subtle. It will reveal intentions, courage, and timing. And when the next move happens, you will understand why all of this unfolded exactly when it did. My beloved child. There comes a point where awareness becomes pressure, and they are standing inside that pressure now. What once felt like quiet observation has turned into a constant inner pull they cannot silence. They notice how your presence lingers even when you are absent, not as a distraction, but as a standard. Every time they encounter someone loud, they feel the contrast. Every time they meet someone who tries too hard, they feel the absence of authenticity. And this is when they understand something unsettling. You did not attract attention by demanding it. You attracted it by being settled within yourself. That realization weighs heavily on them, because it exposes how unsettled they have been all along. Listen carefully to this next truth. They are beginning to recognize patterns in their own behavior that no longer make sense to them. Old habits feel hollow. Old conversations feel repetitive. Old validations feel empty. Your existence has quietly rewritten their internal compass. They are now aware that confidence without self-awareness is fragile, and expression without truth is noise. When they think of you, they do not think of clothes or appearance anymore. They think of composure. They think of restraint. They think of a person who knows when to speak and when to remain silent. And that awareness has created a gap between who they are and who they feel called to become. Something deeper is unfolding beneath their thoughts. They are imagining futures they never considered before. Not fantasies, but possibilities. Possibilities where they are more grounded, more honest, more intentional. And you stand at the edge of those possibilities, not as a reward, but as a reference point. They sense that proximity to you would require consistency, not performance. That standing beside you would demand self-respect, not image management. This is why they hesitate. Because approaching you is not just an interaction. It is a declaration. A declaration that they are willing to be seen as they truly are. Now understand this shift in energy. They are no longer wondering if you notice them. They are wondering if they are ready to be noticed by you. This reversal is powerful. It changes the balance completely. They measure their words more carefully. They measure their actions more honestly. They ask themselves if what they offer aligns with what you represent. And this is rare. Because most connections begin with desire. This one is beginning with self-examination. They feel exposed without you ever looking their way. And that exposure is teaching them more than any conversation ever could. Here is what you must carry forward. You did not set out to change anyone. You did not try to send a message. You simply lived in alignment with who you are. And alignment is disruptive to those who have been pretending. What happens next will not be rushed. It will not be dramatic. It will be deliberate. Whether they step forward or step away, the transformation has already begun. And when the next moment arrives, it will not feel accidental. It will feel earned. My beloved child. The tension you cannot see has reached a silent peak. They are no longer asking why you affected them. They now understand that question has already been answered. What they are wrestling with is whether they are brave enough to respond to that awakening. Every day, they feel the pull between who they have been and who they could become. And your presence stands exactly at that intersection. Not demanding anything. Not requesting attention. Simply existing as proof that alignment is possible. This is what makes them restless. Because once the truth is seen, ignoring it becomes a form of self-betrayal. Something important is happening behind closed doors. They are changing small things first. How they speak. How they listen. How they present themselves when no one is watching. These shifts are not about impressing you. They are about no longer tolerating their own inconsistency. Your influence has moved past fascination into recalibration. They are realizing that attraction without growth is empty, and admiration without effort is dishonest. This realization is heavy, but it is also liberating. Because for the first time in a long while, they feel guided by clarity instead of impulse. Now understand the gravity of this phase. They are preparing, even if they do not call it that. Preparing their mind. Preparing their intentions. Preparing their courage. They know that when they finally step into your awareness, they cannot hide behind charm or performance. They sense that you would see through it instantly. And that thought both terrifies and excites them. Because being truly seen is rare. And being seen by someone who embodies self-respect feels like standing in truth without armor. There is a quiet decision forming within them. Not yet spoken. Not yet acted upon. But solidifying. They are realizing that distance protects comfort, but closeness creates growth. And growth, though uncomfortable, is the only path that feels honest now. They are no longer asking if they should move toward you. They are asking when. Timing has become everything. Because they do not want to approach you as the person they were. They want to approach you as the person this awakening is shaping them into. You were never meant to chase. You were never meant to explain. Your power lies in your steadiness. In your refusal to dilute yourself for acceptance. In your quiet confidence that speaks without effort. Whatever happens next will not be coincidence. It will be the result of everything that has already shifted. And when the moment finally arrives, you will recognize it instantly. Because it will feel calm, clear, and undeniably real. My beloved child. The silence between you and them has started speaking louder than words ever could. They feel it now. That space where something unresolved lives. Not tension, but truth waiting for permission. They have reached the point where pretending nothing happened feels heavier than taking a risk. Every time they see you, or even think of you, they feel the same steady awareness return. The awareness that you are not someone to be approached casually. You are not an experience to be sampled. You are a presence that changes the tone of whatever enters your life. And this understanding has forced them to slow down in a world where rushing has always been their habit. Here is what they are admitting to themselves, even if they would never say it out loud. They are afraid of disappointing you. Not because you demand perfection, but because your alignment exposes shortcuts. They know that standing near you would reflect their inconsistencies back at them. And yet, despite that fear, they feel drawn forward. Because for the first time, attraction feels like responsibility. Like an invitation to become better rather than an escape from themselves. This is unfamiliar territory for them. And unfamiliar territory always feels risky before it feels right. They have started noticing how you respond to the world. How you do not chase attention. How you do not compete for space. How you allow things to reveal themselves instead of forcing outcomes. This observation has taught them patience without you ever instructing them. They are learning that real confidence does not rush. That real value does not announce itself. And this lesson is reshaping how they move through their own life. They are quieter now. More intentional. Less reactive. Not because they are copying you, but because your presence reminded them of who they are capable of becoming. Something subtle but powerful is forming within them. Respect has deepened into intention. Curiosity has transformed into readiness. They are no longer imagining who you might be. They see you clearly now. And clarity removes illusion. It replaces fantasy with responsibility. They understand that approaching you means bringing honesty, not charm. Stability, not excitement. Truth, not performance. And this understanding has filtered out everything that was not real. What remains is solid, grounded, and deliberate. Momentum is building, even if nothing has moved yet. Silence is no longer avoidance. It is preparation. When the next step happens, it will not feel impulsive. It will feel inevitable. Because once awareness matures into intention, action is only a matter of alignment. And alignment, as you already know, never arrives loudly. It arrives certain. My beloved child. There is a quiet certainty settling into the space between you now. Not urgency. Not anxiety. Certainty. They have stopped resisting what they feel, and resistance was the last barrier. When a person stops arguing with their own awareness, clarity takes over. They no longer wonder if you matter. They know you do. They no longer question whether this connection is imagined. They understand it is real, because it has changed them without asking permission. This is the stage where confusion ends and responsibility begins. And responsibility, unlike desire, does not fade with time. It sharpens. Notice what is different now. They are no longer rehearsing words in their head endlessly. They are choosing silence with intention. Silence not born from fear, but from respect. They are waiting for the right alignment, not the perfect moment. They understand that approaching you casually would dishonor what they have learned through you. They want their presence to feel steady, not intrusive. Honest, not impressive. This restraint is new for them. And it is proof of growth. Because people who are unchanged rush. People who are transforming become precise. Something important is happening internally. They are letting go of outcomes. They are releasing the need to control how you might respond. This is significant. It means they are no longer approaching from lack. They are approaching from wholeness in progress. They are accepting that whatever unfolds must be real, even if it challenges them. They understand now that your value is not something to be possessed, but something to be honored. And this understanding has softened them, not weakened them. Softened them in the way strength does when it no longer needs armor. Feel this truth clearly. You have become a reference point for integrity in their life. When they face decisions, they pause and ask themselves if the choice aligns with the standard you represent. This is not imitation. It is calibration. You showed them what alignment looks like without ever teaching. You reminded them that presence carries weight when it is rooted in self-respect. And this lesson will remain with them regardless of what happens next. Because lessons learned through awakening do not depend on outcomes. The next move will not come from confusion. It will come from readiness. Whether it arrives as words, action, or quiet proximity, it will feel grounded. And when that moment arrives, you will recognize it instantly. Not because it will be dramatic, but because it will feel natural. Like something that was always meant to happen once both sides were prepared to meet it in truth.